right, so I'm here tonight with Coach Romero, owner of Round4Round Boxing Gym in Houston, Texas, former amateur and professional boxer, someone I've followed for a long time now in Houston and definitely around the Houston boxing scene. So, Coach Ron, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ron, I wanted to start off with saying, kind of get back into the early days of Ron, right? Get back into the early boxing days. I know you're a New York kid originally, and then you came down here to Houston. So, I want to talk about how did you get into boxing? How did you find that of all sports and avenues that you can kind of get into?
Of course, man. Yeah. Before that, I want to let you know, just to correct you, I never went professional. Just so people don't think I went professional. I just had an amateur career, though.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But other than that, man, it started. Believe it or not, man. I used to. I'm Colombian. I'm from Colombia. So when we moved from Colombia to New York, it started. With the fighting, pretty much fighting in school and just getting in trouble, man. I was just a fighter, man. I used to kind of like to fight. I never got let myself get bullied. So I would get in trouble, get suspended, so on and so forth. My dad one day was like, you know what? I'm gonna take you to a boxing gym. And he took me to the gym was in Queens Boulevard in New York. It was called the Lost Battalion Hall. And, a few champs came from that gym that I know. But yeah, he took me there. And, my father told the coach, like, look, man, he told him my story. And the coach was like, all right, man. And, I thought I was a little tough kid, street fight. That's why I say street fighting is so different from boxing, man, completely.
Yeah, no, and I've learned a lot even just watching from your videos. You always give a lot of tips and things like that. So I appreciate that you own a gym, and I appreciate that you're out here teaching it. But how did that progression happen? Like it's one thing to enjoy fighting, enjoy being in the sport, but it's another thing to use it as a business and want to take on the need of that, and also want to train kids that are just coming in there, same situation you had. Maybe they fought in school, but also guys that have aspirations of being a champion. How did the whole gym kind of ownership thing happen for you?
So pretty much, so I started my amateur career in New York. It followed on to Florida, and then it followed on pretty much. Actually, it ended in Florida. But when I decided to, I broke my hand a few times, and a bunch of stuff happened that made me, not follow my boxing career. But so I decided, once I kind of retired, let's say, I decided, I want to open a gym. It was a real a passion of mine. I always wanted to open up a gym. Once I stopped boxing for myself, I was like, you know what? I want to start teaching, the fundamentals of boxing, just boxing period. And that's how it started. And that's how it started. And then I just, little by little, I started in a garage, actually. I used to work in help another gym in Florida. It was called Tampa City Boxing Gym. A good friend of mine, he undefeated pro, and he opened this gym, and I kind of started there teaching and so on and so forth. And then I got here to Texas. I was in another gym helping out, and then I just started from the garage. And then in the garages, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all of a sudden my garage got filled up. And then I was like, oh man, I got to open up a gym. And then I opened up a facility, and here I am to this day.
That's awesome, man. No, I love watching the videos. I love seeing just the range of people that will come into the gym, right? You have kids, you have older people like me that just want to come in and work out. You have guys that want to be champions. How do you, one of the things I've always appreciated about the way you coach the sport and the way you talk about the sport is you always are referring back to the fundamentals, right? You're always referring to film study and getting back to the fundamentals. But for a casual boxing fan, when someone that's in boxing like yourself talks about getting back to the fundamentals, what are you really talking about? Because for most people that are casual boxing fans, they're watching it, when they say get to the fundamentals, they're thinking, keeping hands high, just throwing ones and twos. But you're talking about a whole system of fundamentals. So what are you really talking about when you get into that?
So when I say that, I refer really your foundation, which starts, like I say, and this is just my perspective, my teachings, what I learned is your foundation, your balance, your footwork, so pretty much that's where, when I say the fundamentals, that's where it starts, man. It really starts just like anything else, a house, it starts from the bottom, your foundation. Now, if your foundation is built on sand, per se, a wind comes, it's gonna blow it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's when I say, it starts from your feet, man. Your balance, your movement, your lateral movement, everything. And that's just like I say, that's when I say, you know, stick with the fundamentals, and that takes time, believe it or not. Problem is, man, and I posted that today, man, you know, unfortunately, but a lot of people want to come in that want to learn. You know, some people like, I want to compete, but they want to do mixed. They want to hit the bag. They want to, without not even know how to move.
Mm-hmm. So you talk about that when it comes to movement. In your background, have you seen a lot of guys that are athletes in other sports having an easier time transitioning into boxing? Or do you think it's better to start kind of like with fresh clay with a kid that isn't predisposed to another sport or another way of doing things to come in and kind of mold that kid in boxing?
Man, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. I would say, no, I would say if you're athletic, you know, let's say, for example, a soccer player, maybe a football player, I believe you're gonna pick up a little bit quicker than somebody that's just fresh start. You know, it's just starting from zero. You know, just because of that, you know, it relates. You know, the footwork. You know, in football and soccer or any sport. You know.
Yeah. No, and I've always been a big proponent of, I mean, combat sports in general, but I've always been a big, you know, fan of mixing together your training, mixing together your things. And I think more athletes in other sports need to pick up boxing. It doesn't mean that you have to get into the ring and fight somebody to train in boxing. And I think too many people are missing that because the footwork, the angles, the movement. One of the things I love to hear you say it. I love to hear a lot of other commentators say it. The biggest difference between distance and range. And I think that is such a big thing in all sports, really. It's leverage. It's things like that. Talk a little bit about the distance and range thing, because I think that gets missed a lot, where guys always think, oh, a long fighter's he's got range, so he's good. But there's a way to use that distance and use that range.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely, man. There's a big difference from range and distance. You know, like I tell my students here, you know, that's very important. You have to learn when you're in range and when you're in distance. Now, pretty much when you're in distance, you're completely out of distance. You're not in danger. You know, you're completely, you know, separated. You know, even if he throws punches, he's in distance. He's not going to be able to hit you. Now, when you're in range, you got to be careful because, you know, that's when you have to have your hands up, you know, be cautious, you know, because now you're in range. Now you're in that hot fire zone where you could get caught.
Right. So now I want to talk to you about another fighter that you have in your gym. One of the things I've loved watching you, right? I told you before we got on, I'm a father of 3. I have 2 daughters. One that I think is your top disciple in your gym right now is your daughter. She's kind of on her own journey right now. I know she's on her journey for Golden Gloves, right? That's kind of the journey. Talk to me a little bit about your daughter and talk to me how that came to be and how that process is going.
Yeah, man, that's a very delicate topic, man. It's because it's my daughter. You know, I have 2 boys. I have 2 boys and a daughter, man. And you know, it's like, man, it's crazy how my daughter ended up. Believe it or not, she started coming just for fitness, man, just for fitness. And you know, she liked it. She started doing. The good thing about her was that she listened and she was very coachable. Just not because she's my daughter, but you know, she was like, I want to learn the fundamentals. I said, okay. So I kept her, believe it or not, man, I kept her on just footwork drills for about 4 months.
Wow.
And you know, you could kind of see that. You could kind of see the progress on her as far as you know, she didn't hit no mitts, she didn't do no bags, nothing. Just for 4 months, believe it or not, man, just all footwork drills. And when I say footwork drills, I mean lateral movement, you know, cutting the ring, in and out. I mean, just everything as far as the footwork fundamentals.
Sure.
And then, you know, she just like, after maybe 3 months or so, she's like, you know what, Dad, I think I want to pursue this. I think I want to keep. And of course, she got me excited because when she told me that, it was like, I was like, are you sure? Because you're opening a can right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, are you sure? Because you're getting me excited, you know?
Yep.
And it started from there. And then from there, man, it just started from there. And I just been really, really, you know, it's hard, man, because she's my daughter. So, you know, I know a lot of coaches out there that have kids that their kids that they're coaching. It's hard because, you know, you gotta balance it. You can't burn them, you know, and that's very hard. I believe with my other 2 kids, I burned them when I was, you know, my early coaching stages, you know.
Yeah. Well, it is nice to see when your kid comes to you and wants to do something that you have a passion for and that you didn't drive her to it, because then, yeah, it gets you giddy and it gets you hyped. Now, is there a sense of, because you've done it, right? Is there a sense of I'm nervous because I want to protect my baby. But is there also that sense of she wants to do it? I know how to give her the tools to do it right. So I'm going to let the lion out of the cage when the lion's ready to go out. So where is it? How do you balance that as a dad and as her coach?
Yeah, man, that's and that's what I say is delicate. It's a
Right.
delicate thing, man, because exactly. I definitely, of course, I'm overprotected. You know, I'm not. I just don't throw her out there. You know, so we choose. You know, we
Mhm.
work. You know, she spars, but she's definitely picking on big time. Believe it or not, a few days ago, you know, she spars a lot with the boys. You know, they're
Mhm.
heavier, they're heavy-handed. So believe it or not, one of them clipped her really good, man. This is the first time I'm talking about. He really clipped her to the point where she was like, you know, she was like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know, she's like, whoa. So I was like, I'm like, you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm okay. And then she kept going. She finished, and
Mhm.
then she went to the corner, and you know, she was like, damn, dad, you know, I really, really felt that. Like I
Mhm.
felt dazed. And then all I told her was like, welcome to boxing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, so right now, she in the stage is like, okay, you know, because I always said it, man. You have to have heart to be in boxing. Yeah, skills is very important, but
Mhm.
heart is as important as the skills. You know.
Right. And that's the part you really can't teach. You kind of have to have that.
Exactly. I was about to say that you can't. You could come in and you know if you have heart, I could teach you the fundamentals and I could teach you how to box or whatnot and fight. But if
Mhm.
you don't have heart, you know I can't teach you that.
Right. Right. Well, one of the best, I think, examples of, kind of a father and their child in boxing now is Danny Garcia. Right. I think his relationship with his father, the way they act with each other, they know each other, they feel each other. Um, is that something that you guys work on too? As you're kind of getting through this journey, because you want your fighter to be able to come to you and tell you how they're feeling, how they're moving. But then there's also that part of it where you are her dad and you're gonna want to push her because you know her potential. How do you guys balance that? Because I love the videos when you guys are out late at night, early in the morning running, and you're not giving her any easy routes. I mean, you guys are putting in the miles, which I think is awesome. But how do you guys? I guess more so the question is, how do you turn it off, right? How do you go from coach to dad, and how does your daughter take to that?
Yeah, yeah, it's difficult, man. It definitely is difficult. Because believe it or not, I forget. My wife has to remind me at times, like, "Hey, man, listen, man, be careful. You know, she don't forget she's 12 years old, man. You know,
Right.
I do get lost in there, and I push her to the point where sometimes, you know, she's like, Dad, I can't make it. I can't go to the gym tomorrow. You know, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh man, you know, I start pushing back, like, man, I gotta slow down a little bit, you know.
Right.
But yeah, definitely, it's hard, man. It's hard, man. But you know, when I'm home and stuff like that, I try. The good thing is that she's really into it, man. So believe it or not, man, she makes my job easy, man. You know, she
Mm.
at home she's film studying, she's on her own. You know, at times she does it. I don't even have to tell her.
Right, and that's awesome. Now, there is one thing I wanted to talk to you about too, which has also been something I've admired of you, is that you're a hustler, right? You also have another business. You have a construction business that is also a full time job with the boxing. How do you? Because I know that kind of all comes together with time management, but how do you really balance out two full time careers and a family life? Like how does that work? I know you always post a lot about your family. You post a lot about your wife helping you and things like that. Is that really just a whole collective to make the whole Romero family work that way?
Definitely, man. Definitely, man. If there's no the only reason I have and I'm able to run those two businesses is because you know because of my family, as far as my wife and my kids and whatnot, and also because I have people who help me here in the gym, man. You know, sometimes I can't make it on time. I have the fighters who help me open up the gym, who help me with the beginners. So it's really a support system, man. And that's the reason I run those two businesses. It's very difficult. At times it's like, man, sometimes I want to throw in the towel, and it's
Sure.
like, it's hard because keeping up with a boxing gym is not easy. You know, it's not very profitable. You know,
Mhm.
so there's times that you're like, but it's the passion that kicks in, and you're like, man, it's like, no, don't worry, I'm gonna, I'm gonna jump over this obstacle. It's okay, and just do it. But it comes down to support, man. Definitely, man. Big time support.
Well, that's awesome to see. Now, I did want to talk to you about some fighters that are out there right now, and kind of where boxing is as a state of boxing, at this moment. Um, I think we had this influx of the heavyweight fighters, kind of all throughout the history of boxing, especially the popularity in America. but you really kind of hit the pinnacle of it, as far as the casual fan in kind of the 80s and 90s with the Lennox Lewis and the Evander Holyfields and the Mike Tysons of the world. And then you kind of had a lull where it was more of the lower weight class boxers coming up. One of the guys I grew up, because I'm from New Jersey, right? One of the guys I grew up loving, my favorite boxer of all time is Arturo Gatti, right?
Oh, nice.
My favorite boxer, right? But he was the kind of guy that was going to go in there from second one to the final second of the fight, and he was going to throw with you. He wasn't going to look to dodge a lot of punches, right? He was going to really exchange. And I think we've started to see that switch in boxers where they're starting to see the longevity of the career and the money and really the Mayweather effect, right? But as a tactician, to look at the sport the way you do, I mean, is there anyone better than like the Lomachenko or the Mayweather in just their movements and their body weights, but they're not as exciting? So I guess my question to you is, how do you I guess word that to a casual fan to say what you should be looking at in these fights to also make it exciting?
Yeah, man, that's a good topic there, because I was speaking about that today. The fans, they love, like Arturo Gatti was oh man, I seen him many times in Atlantic City, fight. So he was, man, he was just, see, he was for the fans, the fans want to see that type of fight,
Right.
The fans want to see that type of fight. It's exciting. Just not him, Tyson, those type of, I'm not gonna say brawlers, but fighters.
Right.
I say that there's a fighter and there's a boxer. You got Mayweather who boxes, who really but believe it or not, man, in his career, in his beginning of his career, man, he fought. He will be there in the pocket, exchanging punches and all that. But
Oh yeah.
He during later in his career, he started boxing. So it's hard, man. It's hard because especially with the promoters and everything. If you're not an exciting fighter, it's hard to push you. Believe it, you don't have that. You have a lot of fighters out there that are very good. They're very, they're great boxers, but they just don't have a high knockout percentage, or they're just not a fan favorite. And that's what I'm saying, that's the big thing in boxing.
Yeah, and you brought something up that I also wanted to touch on too when it comes to the promoters. You had that shift again from the Don Kings of the world, right? These guys that were just fleecing their boxers and totally robbing them of their money. And then you had the whole shift in paradigm to the Golden Boys and the Mayweather Productions and the Rock Nations, where now it really is, fighters kind of dictate what they're going to make and what fights they're going to take. And I think we've kind of seen the pendulum swing a little bit too much on the other side, where now guys will, like a Mayweather. I loved watching every one of Mayweather's fights. The one thing that's always been an issue with me is he should have fought Pacquiao years earlier, because they were the two best in the world at the time. Do you see maybe a switch back more toward the midline of, a Top Rank and a Golden Boy just kind of coming together and saying, let's start our own organization, kind of a UFC structure, right? Like, we're going to start this organization, and our best guys are going to fight each other, and we're still going to make all the money because it's just us to make the money. Because that, I think, would sell so much better than a guy like Ryan Garcia having 19 trash can fights, and now he's trying to justify himself as being the champion, but people don't respect who you fought.
Correct, man. Yeah, definitely. I agree with you in that. Back in the day, that's, my coach was an old school coach, man, and he would say that. He was like, back in the day, man, if you claim you were the best, well, I'm the best. Well, then let's settle in the ring.
Right.
That was the difference from back in the day. But like you said, with the money coming in, back in the day, these fighters did not make what they make now.
Right.
So now, like you said, they choose, they get to choose. They don't want to, they pick, like they say, they pick the cherry, cherry picking here and there. So yeah, I kind of, but then again, sometimes, look at right now, Garcia with Spence, that's going to be an exciting fight, very exciting for the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're seeing a couple of them come around every year, right? You even had the Triple G, coming around to fight. You had Canelo saying, "Yeah, I'll fight." You had Andre Ward against Kovalev, but these fights take so long to happen, and I think sometimes we miss them in the moment. But there are very, very exciting fights out there, and I think because the heavyweight division is dominated so far, and I want to get into that in a second, but the guy that I am absolutely in love with right now, the guy I watch any one of his fights, is Vasyl Lomachenko, right? I think he is the best pound for pound. I mean, besides the fact that he had 400 amateur fights, watching him as someone that knows so much more about boxing than I do, what's your favorite part about watching him get in the ring?
Man, you know what's funny, man? You know, my daughter loves Loma. That's the one she really studies a lot, and you know, she just really likes him. And man, what I really like about Loma, man, is just the ring generalship that he has in there, the control that, you know, he just, the angles, obviously we know his footwork, but it's just, you know, the angles that he's able to throw the punches and everything. I mean, it's just, the guy's phenomenal, man. You know, I keep watching it with my daughter. I mean, we film study with him a lot, man. And it's just, he's amazing, man. And I agree with you. He's, you know, and I don't know, I'm not sure if you know, but he wanted to make history as far as when he debuted it. He wanted to fight for a world title.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? He should have. He had probably more clarity than anyone else did in that division.
Absolutely.
But so the other thing I think which would make Loma, I think, a little more sellable, and which he is very sellable, he sells a lot of tickets, is that he is willing to take a punch, right? He's willing to exchange with you a little bit, right? He's still going to move out of the way because he's just better than you, but he will exchange. One of the guys that I love watching also is Triple G, because Triple G will let you punch him because he's just going to haunt you and he's going to stalk you and he's going to get you down. Do you still think, though, that now he's getting up in age? He's had kind of those long fights against Canelo. And really, he's let almost every boxer touch him at some point. The difference is how quickly he finished those fights. Do you think he can continue that? You know, I mean, everyone has tread on their tires, right? And they're always going to wear. Do you think he can continue that trend, or do you think you're going to start to see a decline in Triple G?
Yeah, man, definitely decline. I would say this. This is just my opinion. The reason is because you see, like you said, you know, it's just his style of fighting, man. You know, you know, you take a lot of damage. You take a lot of damage, and he's still. I mean, he's still good. You know, even 38, 30 something. I know he's in his 30s, 30 something, but
yeah, he's in mid 30s, yeah,
mid 30s. So you see what I'm saying? So yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's you know, it's just it starts declining because the age. But then again, my daughter kind of, she was like, Dad, look at Pacquiao at 41.
Right.
And you know, I know Thurman, like I know him personally as far as, like, you know, he's not like my friend, but you know, we was in many of his training camps, and you know, I seen him there sparring, and the kid, man, when he started, man, he was like 15, 16 years old, knocking out old dudes, man. So I personally, I thought he was gonna take it, man. But look, Pacman is just, you know, amazing. So it's hard to say. Just and then Pacman, same, man. He took a lot of damage as well. Has taken a lot of damage. He just, you know, I feel like, you know, it declines. It declines after so much damage you take as well.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, even a guy like Bernard Hopkins was able to do it well into his 40s, but it's like those are definitely the standouts. Now, the thing that I think pushes the needle and will continue to push the needle, I happen to like more of your middleweight classes. I think they have that really nice mixture of power, but still speed and tactician. But usually when you get into the heavyweight division, you lose a little bit of that tactician, or you lose a little bit of that footwork, and sometimes. But right now, the guy that's at the top of the heap is Tyson Fury, and he's basically dancing on people in the ring as a giant. How fun is it to see the heavyweight division kind of have a resurgence, but with guys that are so different in their style? You kind of have it, you know, kind of the three pillars of the heavyweight division right now, right? Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, and Tyson Fury. And they're so different in fighters. Can you break them down just a little bit for me to kind of put them in perspective?
Definitely, man. Yeah, it's, you know, with Fury, man, the guy is just amazing, man. I'm serious, man. He reminds me of Muhammad Ali, believe it or not, man. You know, just his footwork, you know, his movement, for me, he's like really the best right now, man. You know, I don't take nothing away from Joshua either, or Wilder. But you, like you say, you know, three different styles. I mean, you got Wilder that, you know, he's a knockout artist. A lot of people say that he doesn't have fundamentals and this. He does, you know, he does, but he relies on his power. And you know, and it's true. I mean, look, when he fought Ortiz, you know, I had Ortiz winning that second fight until he knocked him out.
Yep.
So you know, so definitely, you know, Fury's definitely a boxer, you know, very, you know, ring generalship, movement, a lot of, you know, very the type of fighter that I kind of like and teach the students that I have. Then you have Wilder, who obviously is a knockout artist, which fan favorite. This is what I was talking about. You know, fan favorite. You know, you never know. You know, like he said, you know, it's just one punch. It just takes one punch, and you know, it lights out.
Yeah. I mean, he'll change your whole life if he catches you with the right hand down the middle.
Exactly. He has a dangerous right hand. And then you got Joshua that showed us both. You know, look what happened with Ruiz. At first he tried to slug it with Ruiz. He tried to fight with him. What happened? Boom. We saw what happened.
Yep.
Second fight came along. What did he do? A lot of people criticized him. Oh, he ran, he did. No, he didn't. He just boxed him. You know, he used the game plan. He's still game planning there, you know?
Yeah, no, and that's why I think it's so interesting the way these fights are going to play out, because it looks like Joshua is going to fight Fury, right? And that's going to kind of be your next test. And I think that's stylistically they do kind of match, right? They're both going to try to work a game plan. What I'm interested to see, and what the fight I really want to happen is, I want to see Joshua against Wilder, because I feel personally that Joshua has ducked Wilder. Now, I don't know if that's, you know, a lot of the way these organizations, WBO, WBA, how they, you know, they're linear champions and things like that. But I felt like he's ducked him, and I really wanted to come down. I want to see that fight, because Deontay Wilder is just a scary dude. I mean, Joshua is you know, in football or basketball or baseball, you kind of use the term, he's the first one off the bus, right? He's the guy that's most intimidating. You want to get off the bus. Joshua looks like a Greek god, but Deontay Wilder will punch a hole in your chest, and I really want to see that fight. So that's the fight. Yeah.
I agree with you. From what I saw as well, and then it's true what you said. You know, we don't really know what goes down, you know, because you know you know how it is. But you know, the promoters, the managers, and so on and so forth. But definitely, I agree that I agree too that I'm with you on this one, that he did he's kind of like dodging him. It's gonna happen, but like this comes down maybe to, hopefully it's not like the Pac-Man and the Manny, you know, situation.
I hope. Yeah, no. I hope we don't miss it. I hope we don't miss out on it. I hope. The good thing is they're not young as people, but they are. You know, Deontay Wilder's young as a fighter. He's like, what, 10 years into being a professional fighter? I mean, which is ridiculous what he's been able to accomplish is that. So now I have one other question for you. So you know, I think I've named kind of all the big hitters, right, when it comes to boxing right now. You know, and even the guys that are kind of just below that, you have the, you know, Gervonta Davises and you have the Teofimo Lopez's and those guys, right? But who's the guy that's on your radar that you're like, this guy is the next dude? Like, watch this kid. Maybe he's in the amateur ranks and you're watching him, or maybe he's just a young pro, or maybe he's just a guy not getting coverage. But who's the guy that Ron Romero is like, this is the guy you need to watch out for?
Man, you know, honestly, I don't know I may mess up his last name, but he's Dominican, Edgar Barranegista.
Okay.
He might be, he's like maybe 14-0 with 14 knockouts.
Oof.
Yeah. He's I want to say he's like maybe a middleweight. No, he's a little lighter, maybe 147. I know he's
is he the kid that just fought recently? Yeah, he had like the jab knockout that he threw. He had like a front lead left hand. Okay, I know you're talking about.
Edgar, I believe Edgar is his first name. I believe it was, right?
Yeah. I don't know his last name because he has like a nickname on his trunks, so it's not his full name.
Correct. Him. Well, that's him.
Okay.
He's Dominican.
Yeah.
He's Dominican.
Yes. Yeah. Heavy-handed too. Very scary from both hands. He's scary with.
Yes, him. Yeah, I watched already three. I would say 3 of his fights, and yeah, he got power, man. He's a very. You see, he's gonna be a fan favorite.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's good to know. Now, I guess I have one follow-up question. So, I think what would also be great for boxing to do to kind of please, you know, again, a casual fan, right? Because that's where the money is, right? The casual fan is what's going to pay for those pay-per-views and things like that. Do you think that there's an approach that boxing will take to lesser the weight classes? Because I think that I think would be one of those things where you can't have guys ducking fights if there's 14 or 16 pounds between weight divisions. But when you have some guys that can fight at 42 and then fight at 47 and then fight at 54, they're easily kind of able to work their way around to make the best fight happen. Do you see boxing making a move to maybe larger breaks between their weight divisions?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I hope so, but yeah, I agree. I think there's too much money in it, right? There's too many. Where every weight division has a champion, they have 6 different organizations,
and unfortunately, you know, it's funny you said that, man. Nowadays, it's like, you know, so many belts out there, and it's just You know, it's not like back in the day. You know, it
Right.
was just a couple of belts. I believe it was just 3 belts.
Yeah, it was a WBO, WBA, and IBF, right? That was for the longest time.
That's it. Now, you know, you have a IBO, IBA. I mean, you have all type of belts, you know. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, Ron. I know I kept you at the gym. I see you're still in the gym right now. It's late at night. You never stop working, and I just want to let you know we appreciate watching you. We appreciate hearing from you. I really appreciate you coming on. I wish you and your daughter and the rest of your fighters nothing but the best, and look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Definitely, man. I know. I appreciate you having me, man. Thanks a lot. And yes, man. You know, we're shooting for her for the, like you said, the Golden Gloves. Hopefully, you know, the COVID doesn't mess that up. But if it does, it doesn't matter. We'll be ready for whichever, you know, whatever month they postpone it. But that's the goal. And I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, we'll be watching. And your daughter's name's did you go by Nana?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But her name is Brianna Romero.
Brianna. Well, we'll be watching and we'll be rooting for her, and I can't wait to see her in 6-7 years from now, putting Olympic medals around her neck. So we're looking for her. We're happy for her, and we're looking to see where she goes.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. I really do. That's her goal. You know, that's her goal, to shoot for the Olympics. But you know, nothing's impossible. You know, so that's the goal.
Not at all, man. Well, look, I'm happy to have you, man. Get home to your family. Have a good night, and I appreciate it. And we'll stay in touch in the future.
Definitely, man. Thank you so much, man. You have a wonderful night.
You too, Ron.
All right.